and by 11 kids by my mother. And so they got together. They had a bunch of kids. I was born last, y'all. Very last. My father was 72 years old when I was born. My mother was 50 years old when I was born. So for you guys that are in here that are saying you got your AARP card, there's still hope. All right, but most of all, growing up my whole entire life, I wanted to do something big with my life because when I was a little boy, my brother went to the NBA and played basketball. Now, I'm 6'3". I am the smallest out of all my brothers. I'm the shortest. They call me the runt. All right, so most of my brothers are 6'5", 6'6", 6'9", 6'11". I don't know what happened, man. Somehow it just passed me over. All right, but that's okay. But I wanted to be like him. I wanted to play basketball, and so I did that. I played basketball in high school. I became an All-American. I got a scholarship to the University of Oregon. I played basketball at the University of Oregon for 3 years. Somebody came when I was becoming a senior, offered me an opportunity to leave the country and play basketball pro in Europe. So I left and took a contract when I was 21 years old and left to Europe and landed in Germany, started playing pro ball there, and then went to Spain and France and Australia. And I would stay overseas for 9 years playing basketball, because I was really trying to make it from overseas to get into the NBA. But at the age of 29 years old, they said, son, it might be time for you to hang those shoes up, come on back home and get a job. And so I did that. I started working different jobs. My first job was at the sheriff's department. I was in training to become a sheriff. And when I was in training to become a sheriff, I took a look at some of the career paths that they had, and they offered me an opportunity to work there and then go to work at juvenile probation. So I ended up working at juvenile probation. I said, okay, so I'll take a job at juvenile probation. So I took a job at juvenile probation, and I'm going to be honest, them little bad kids, they ran me back to graduate school, right? So I was doing it for about 6 years, working with the kids and trying to help them reunify, but it wasn't my passion. I went back and I enrolled in a school called Golden Gate Law. And when I got to Golden Gate Law, I was there, and I was really there to go to law school. So I'm saying it correctly, Golden Gate Law. However, in my second year of being in law school, I'd go outside of the law school every day, and I'd see these guys in these sharp suits, and some of them would have like nice cars in downtown San Francisco. Some of them had all these other trinkets on. So I began to ask them, like, hey, man, what do you do? He's like, oh, man, I work in finance. Where do you work at? Work at Morgan Stanley. Hey, where do you work? I work at BlackRock. I said, man, where do you work at? I work at Charles Schwab. And I said, oh, my God, you look sharp, man. You drive this nice car? How'd you get that? So I'm going to be honest with y'all. We in church, I said, I think I want to try to do what they're doing. And so I basically jumped out of the law school and transferred over to their finance program, and I got into their MBA JD program in finance with an emphasis on finance, and I began to basically study finance. Now I'm studying finance, about to get my master's degree, and in the second year of me doing that program, one of my classmates came over to me and they said, Leland, we're in a lot of trouble. I said, what do you mean we're in trouble? He said, I know we got a test next week. He said, no, we're in a lot of trouble. I said, why? He said, have you looked at your loan paper lately? I said, no, I didn't check it since last quarter. He said, you know, when we graduate, we'll owe like 120 grand, but the jobs we're going to get will be like 70 or 80 grand. And I said, yeah, we're in a lot of trouble. All right. So I said, so in my second year of school, what I did is I started going to all those companies and started applying for jobs. You know these companies, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Lehman Brothers, all these different companies. And most of them looked at me and they said, you don't have enough experience. You got to get your series license. You don't have enough experience, and none of them gave me a job. However, there was one night I went to a business meetup, and there was a gentleman there, and he was the CEO of a firm in downtown San Francisco called Granite Solutions Group. And it just so happened he went to the same school as me. And so he was there. I said, yeah, I'm getting ready to graduate from Golden Gate. He said, Golden Gate? I went there years ago. He says, man, I run this big company down there. I tell you what, come by my office, and we'll talk in a couple of weeks. So I went by his office. I'm very, very, very grateful to him today. He's still one of my mentors. His name is Dan Labby, and he mentored me and brought me into his company, let me work underneath him, and for 13 years, I would work in downtown San Francisco, working the financial division. I was working at anti-money laundering on the backside of banks and doing contracting work, and I became the vice president of his company. So I got very, very fortunate to get his mentorship. He worked me pretty hard, y'all, 60 to 70 hours a week. Let me tell you the real, all right, 60 to 70 hours a week. I saw my kids on Sunday at church. Just kidding. Not really. But don't do that, right? But I was working and going to India. I was going to Africa. I was setting up other offices. I was doing every single thing they asked me to do because I thought that was the American dream. But something happened to me. This is where the story gets good. In 2015, we had switched over our accounts from Fidelity over to Morgan Stanley, and they wanted to give us more stock options and put us in more aggressive. Everybody say aggressive. Put us in very aggressive funds. Now, I didn't know a whole lot about this. I was a company guy, all right? I was working every day, and having that stock portfolio in those very aggressive funds, they had some unrest inside their company where they changed CEOs and everything. Make a long story short, they lost about 87% of our fund. So I lost $1.4 million in one day. Everybody say, ouch. No, say it louder. Say, ouch. Yeah, that was an ouch moment for me. I was 41 years old. I got 5 beautiful kids. My back was a little bit against the wall, but not so much with me because I was 41. My colleagues were in their 50s and 60s, so they didn't have a lot of makeup time to really do that. And so I thought to myself, I got to really learn about finance. I got to learn how this works. I got to get educated about this because I was just using a 401k, a 403b, the stock option plan, putting all my bonus money into the stock option plan and making sure that I could have something down the road. But I didn't know how to protect my money. You see, I got an education in finance with a master's degree. I knew I thought I was putting my money in the right place, but I never took the time to really learn. Everybody say learn. So you got to really learn and get educated about finances. You can't, I'm going to give you guys this one for free, and then I'm going to move on quickly. You should not just know the names of products, you should know the mechanics. See, if you know the mechanics, now you understand how they work, their history, how they've performed, how things actually go. When you learn the mechanics of things, now you can actually be able to protect yourself and understand if that's for you. So make sure that you do that. But story goes like this. In 2015, one of my classmates called me up on the phone and said, hey, I think you'd be great at doing this business. I said, what business? They said, it's a financial education business with distribution model attached to it. I said, I don't know, man. I'm already lost this money over here. They said, well, let's come down and hear us out. So I said, okay, great. So I drove down to San Jose. And when I got into the building, it was a big old giant building. There's a lot of people there. And I saw all these people happy, motivated, jumping around, celebrating, and they were handing out these big checks. Now, I know what you're thinking. A lot of times go, that must have been a scam. But no, there's 2 definitions of that. Some scams are, the definition of scam is still scared of money. And so what I saw was a bunch of people making big money, celebrating, having fun, and being not miserable like I was in a corner office every day. So I said, let me try this out. I think this might be something I want to do part-time. Can't be that bad. Maybe I can just do this part-time and maybe get some of my money back. So I began part-time working in 2015, which is almost 11 years ago, on educating people and doing financial services and being able to build out distribution models. But here's what I found out. They had some people come in from the SEC, and they explained to us the condition of America finance. This was in 2015. And in 2015, do you know that there was 63% of all Americans had no life insurance? You guys got quiet. All right, let's try this again. Then there was 87% of them that had the wrong retirement plan. In my culture, which is the African American culture, the numbers were worse. Then I found out that 87% of all people in America have no long-term care, which means that if they get sick, they become a burden on their family. It means that it's hard for them to be able to pay for their mortgages and their rents and their kids' colleges, right? So when I began to learn these stats, I said, well, wait a minute, there's something to this. I want to be able to go out and help people and be able to show people and be able to educate people and be able to teach people. And so I started in the business part-time, and I got really excited. And I started going to my people at my church, and I said, do you guys got a tax-free retirement? They were like, what's that? And then I started going to nonprofits and saying, do you guys got long-term care? They're like, heck no. And then I started asking my family, do you guys even have life insurance? They're like, I only got the one that grandma bought. So ultimately what ended up happening is I found out there was all these people who had nothing in place to be able to help their community, their futures, their legacies, their kids. They were all upside down financially. So I got off to a real fast start. After my first year in business, I picked up 350 clients. How did I pick up so many clients? Doing exactly what I'm doing today. I spoke at churches. I spoke at nonprofits. I started going to businesses. I got a chance to speak at Google. Anybody ever heard of this company called Google? Great company, right? But most of them have the wrong retirement plan. There's a company, everybody heard this company called AT&T? Got a chance to speak there. You know that if you die as an employee of AT&T, that your retirement goes back to the company, not your family. None of them were educated. They didn't know that. So I came in and showed them and picked up another 300 clients. Here we go again, right? Then I went to a company called Facebook. I live in California, y'all, right? I got a chance to work at Facebook. They let me in and do their engineering department. And some of these guys that were in engineering were 69, 70, 71, 72, 73. I don't know. I got tired of counting. But ultimately, they had been there a long time, and they were still working because they had no education. They would retire and then come back as contractors to try to make more money to take care of their families, just so that they could pay. So when I got going in all this in 2015, at the end of 2015, I fired my boss. Now, when I fired my boss, I have a very big family, 10 brothers and sisters by my mom, 16 brothers and sisters by my father. And God rest their soul, they got together when I quit my job as vice president, and they had a prayer meeting. They said something is wrong with Leland. He let go of that good job. All right, how did he ever let go of that job as a vice president? But I knew in my heart that I actually wanted to be able to be a servant. I wanted to be a servant leader and be able to help more families. Today, I'm responsible for 40,000 life insurance license agents. It's a pretty big deal. We are in 50 countries, and we're in 50 states, and 59 countries. So we're now opening up internationally. We're now basically doing all this in different languages. We have the companies and the resources to go to all the South American countries. We're in the UK. We're over in Taiwan. We're in Japan. And I'm going to share with you today just a little bit about stewardship, what I go and teach all the churches. Everybody say church. So I'm going to do business and church a little bit. But I wrote a book, and I started traveling the country a couple years ago on financial stewardship, and wanted to basically help churches. Now, as I was saying earlier, before I jump into this, my father was a pastor. My grandfather was a pastor. 3 of my brothers are pastors. I serve as assistant pastor at my church. So I wanted to figure out how could I help, because we saw that during COVID, that 27% of all churches started closing their doors. They had no financial infrastructure. So a lot of them were closing their doors. They were closing down. A lot of my friends that I went to seminary school with, they're still closed. They closed their churches. They have not been able to open them back up. And so I decided to be able to go out here and start to teach some of these concepts. And now we've been helping thousands of churches around America. And I'm going to share with you what we do as a company, but also I'm going to do some of what we do inside the church. Is that okay? Everybody say yes. All right. Okay, let's jump right into it. So give me the first slide. So we are basically, give me the first one. Go back one slide. So we are basically, you got it. Oh, you got it. There you go. Great. So we do a thing called inspirational marketing. Everybody say inspiration. All right. We're not network marketing. We're not affiliated marketing. We're not multi-level marketing. I'm not here to sell you anything. We do inspirational marketing. Inspirational marketing means that we want to do 3 things. The first thing we want to do is we want to educate you. The second thing we want to do is we want to encourage you to take a look at where you're at, for where your current state of where you're at your money. So I want you guys to be asking yourself a question while I'm talking today. If everything were to stop today and you couldn't earn any money, how long would your money last? Okay, I want you to think about that. And I want you to be able to write that down. How long would it last? Would it be a month? Would it be 2 months? Would it be 5 months? Do you have things in place that if you got sick today, that everything would still be all right? Okay? The last thing we want to do is inspire you. Everybody say inspire. We want to inspire you to start making the right moves to make sure that you protect that. If you have a home, make sure you protect it. If you have kids, make sure you protect it. You got money, make sure that you protect it. Just to make sure that you're in the right state of mind. Give me the next slide, please. So we have a big vision, which was to become the largest financial leadership movement in the industry. Guys, 41,000 people have joined my mission in the last 11 months. 41,000 and counting. We'll be at 100,000 people on our platform here in the next 6 months. The reason why is we're international, we're domestic, but we're helping people. And what I get paid to do is go around the country to help people for free. Everybody say free. Say it louder. Say free. All right. How do we do that for free? I'm going to show you today. We do a broker-dealer style where we charge the companies, not you. So when I sit down with clients, when I sit down with small businesses and basically be able to do evaluations for them, I'm not charging them anything. I'm basically saying, sit down with us. We have over all these contracts, and I'm going to show you how that works. Give me the next slide, please. So we're going to work a little bit with transparency here today. I'm going to be very transparent, and I'm going to give you some concepts and things like that so you can have something to chew on. Give me the next slide, please. So we are a very big fintech company. Everybody say fintech. All right, I want you to work with me on this. How many of you guys have heard of this thing called AI? All right, so now we are in the technology era. Everything is technology. We spent $80 million on technology in my organization. I'm on the board, so I was there. Now, what do we spend so much money on technology for? So that you could have the comfort of understanding your results and to get what you need easily by doing it yourself. So let's talk about this. Have you guys ever heard of this thing called life insurance? Okay, great. What if you could just go into your iPhone, click on it, and it gave you back where you're at right now, if you can get an approval or not, in 3 to 5 minutes? That'd be kind of cool, right? We've already done that. What if you could do it without blood and urine? We already do that. Around in all 50 states. What if you just wanted final expense or a burial, and a person said, hey, I'm kind of sick. I don't know if I can get any life insurance, and we still could get you approved in 5 to 7 minutes and be able to get that done. What about for you guys that are retire and you want to know your retirement numbers, you want to roll your money over, and you want to say, hey, I need a lifetime income? You could do that in 5 minutes now with technology. No longer do you need to call these companies, have someone like me come into your house and sit down with you. All that's gone. Now, you still can have that if you want. If you want that type of personal touch, yes, you can have that. But we made it through technology because we saw in California that 11,000 people were retiring every day and that 90% of them had no idea what to do with their money. So we basically went to a technology suite. So we have companies like Annuity Genius, I Decide. We basically have made our organization so easy to where we can send you a link now and you can actually pick what you're kind of looking for, and it will personalize and put your name on it through AI and now do a whole presentation for you, and then you can decide on your own what you want to do. So you have all this technology that can do it. My favorite company that's up here right now is a company that's called Quility. Everybody say Quility. Well, Quility is a company that basically works directly with people who are sick. So it helps a lot of people who have diseases, obesity, that are very sick, to be able to help them still get legacy plans. So we do a lot of good work through technology to make sure that people actually can feel like they still can actually get these plans. 5 years ago, I'm going to say this real quick, but you know, I'm from California. If you ever smoked one of those funny cigarettes, you couldn't get no coverage. I know none of y'all never did that, right? However, today, those companies actually allow marijuana smokers to have coverages and get all the plans together. If you were obese, if you had an obesity problem, you were declined. That's gone. We don't do that anymore. We basically go through A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. We're going to find you some type of way to get you approved. Now, we cannot cover stage 3 and 4 cancer yet, and we can't cover some lupuses, but that's about it. Okay, give me the next slide, please. All right, so what is our credibility? We're very, very credible. This is where I want you to pay very close attention to me today, okay? We were all 7-figure earners in another company. We got together and we wanted to do something that's never been done in financial services before, where you could bring technology together and financial services. So we got together and we said, we're going to go pitch our idea to the top companies inside of the United States. We're going to go sit down with these guys who got all this money, all these venture capitalists, and we're going to say, hey, we have a great idea. We've been in the industry already 10, 15 years, some of us 20, 30, 40 years, and we want to be able to serve the middle class and the lower class. And they allowed us to come in and meet with a company that's called Sequoia Capital. So Sequoia Capital is the VC company that started Apple, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Instacart. All those companies that you're familiar with, these guys were the backers, and they back our company up as well. So we were able to partner with them and basically get almost $400 million to start our organization to have the best credibility system that we could have in financial services. Wherever I go, if I say the 2 words Sequoia Capital, people can look that up, and they're going to say, oh, my God, they've created everything that I'm using every day. How many of you guys got Facebook? All right, well, Those guys are the ones that backed him up. So we got with them and went in there, and they gave us the opportunity to work with them. So we have founders with over 100 years of experience. We have over 32 different AAA-rated companies that work with us. So all these companies that are behind me in these colors right now are all AAA-rated. And it means that basically they have to be $1 billion in evaluation, and they've been around for quite some time. That's all we work with. So that means you never have to worry about the career that you choose. Our job is to make sure that you get what you need. So my job is to make sure that you have choices. Everybody say choice. That you can make the right choices for yourself, and we educate you on that. Whatever your circumstances is, we're going to find a solution for you. Whether you got $10 or $10 million, doesn't matter to me. All that matters is, can I help you? Right? That's all we care about is, can we sit down and find you a solution? There's no big I's or little U's. Nobody's pushed away. Nobody's kicked out. Everybody's accepted inside in. We have industry-leading persistency, so we have great client retention. So we retain a lot of our clients, and we have a big suite. So these are the guys that pay us, not you. I'm going to say it again. Those are the guys that pay us, not you. So when I sit down and do a charitable retrievable trust, I'm helping a client to be able to do that, but they're not paying me. The company's paying me to be able to help them. Give me the next slide, please. All right. So what makes us special? I'll kind of go through this really quick. And what makes us special is that we live by the 5 F's. We have a fulfillment formula inside of our business. Our company is a faith-based organization, so we actually live by the 5 F's. The 5 F's include, the first F is faith, right? So we actually have faith over fear. We accept all different denominations, all different religions. We're open to everybody in the world, but we want people to understand that we practice faith. The second one is your family. We want to make sure that we involve your family. If you ever decide to do any business with us and or if you become our client, we want to take care of you and your family. So a lot of people that work with me or people that come into my organizations, we help them get their families together. We want them to have better marriages and better situations and better opportunities to spend more time with their family. Guys, I have 5 children. 5. Look how I look. It must be working, right? Just 5 kids, right? Yeah. All different ages, right? So I get to spend a lot of time with my family. I spend a lot of time with my kids. I love what I do every day. I go to all their things. My daughter's right now is 11 years old. Her band is awful. But I'm there every week, right? I'm go play it, right? The third thing is we want you to have a lot of fun working with us. So we want to make sure that you have fun. The fourth one is fitness. A lot of these companies that I talked about earlier, they're very big on investing and helping you with fitness. And then the last one is we want to help you make sure that your finances are in shape. We own our own companies, so we have an ownership program. When people partner with us, they can actually have their own ownership, not just own their own business, but they can basically pass it down generationally. So you're looking at a guy right now, I've set my family up. If something were to happen to me tomorrow, my son would be able to take over my business and keep going. So we actually have a real ownership program. We basically have millionaire mentorship. We have great technology. So we feel that we're a very special organization to be able to help you. Not only because we care, not only because we educate you, but we're not just going to talk to you about money. We're going to try to make sure that the whole gamut is covered for you to make sure that you're in the right situation. Okay? Give me the next slide, please. All right. So I wrote this book. It's called Strategic Financial Planning for All Faith-Based Organizations. You can look up on Amazon. It's there. It actually teaches you how we help churches. We basically went through this book, and we found out that there were 7 stewardship steps. I'm only going to talk about one today from biblical principles. But I did a lot of work on this, and I went around and I sat down with 100 pastors. Can you believe that? And we actually got through one meeting, but I met with a bunch of pastors and basically had them all look at it and kind of go through it. And they kind of I interviewed their boards, and we did all this stuff, and we had fun, and we exploded, and we're able to now help all these churches everywhere. So like Pastor Antoine was saying, I don't even know what time zone I'm in. I'm in the same one as back home now. But I just came back from Ohio to Houston, Texas, and Atlanta, and now going back to Florida and doing all these great things with all these churches because I'm going to talk about some of the biblical principles that we might miss today. Give me the next slide. All right, so when we talk about these 7 stewardship steps, the only one I'm going to talk about today is building financial literacy. So everybody say literacy. All right, so we understand that financial literacy is very important, especially in the church. So when I started going around the churches, my church included, what I found out was that a lot of people didn't have the right information. Okay? Can I get serious with you guys really quick? Okay, here it comes. GoFundMe is not a financial strategy. It's just not. But we keep using it though. Right? I'm going to try over here to my right. Right? We keep using GoFundMe as a financial strategy. And it's the saddest thing that I'm seeing around the world. I am a preacher, y'all. I am a preacher, pastor. Bishop Lauren, my buddy is here. My pastor called me the other day. He said, preacher, you need to go preach this funeral. I said, I don't know him. He said, okay, just go preach Jesus. I said, okay. So I went down there and I got behind and we were having a good time. We were doing this here. It was a great homegoing service. The spirit was high. I got up and I was in the middle of my sermon. Good sermon. And the undertaker came down the middle row and said, I said, what is that? He said, time's up. They don't have enough money. We got to get the body and get them out of here because they didn't pay enough for this and they're running out of time. This happens all the time. Many people have homes right now and they don't even understand it if you don't have a mortgage protection or if you have a 2-income house. What happens if one person passes away and you're not properly covered? Where I live at in California, you want to know what the new retirement plan in California is? Move to Texas. Maybe y'all got most of them up here too now, right? I ran into a couple of my boys today. No, everybody is coming up here. I was like, wow, what's the new retirement plan in California? Move to Arizona. Move to Texas, right? And the reason why is that there's no literacy. So if people don't have any literacy, so there's 7 steps I talk about, but I'm only going to talk about one today. Literacy is so important to be able to understand and have in place. All right, give me the next slide, please. Okay, so let me get the next slide, please. So building financial literacy through empowering through education. Give me the next slide, please. I think I lost my clicker. You got it? Okay, great. All right. So there are 2 families in the United States right now currently. There's 2 types of families. There's family A and there's family B. Okay, so let's look at this real quick. Family A, middle class America, 95%. 95% of the people in the middle class right now make $100,000 or less. So they don't make a ton of money, right? They have no advisor, no plan. They put money in the bank. They have temporary life insurance, which is called a term policy. They have credit card debt, and they have not that many tax advantages. This is very, very, very common. 95% of the people in America make less than $100,000. Now, if we look over at the 5%ers, they make $250,000 or more. They have a financial professional. They have permanent life insurance. They're homeowners, and it's a very small percentage of the population. So what we do as an organization, we make sure that family A has the same information as family B. And the reason why we have to make sure they have the same information as family B is to make sure that they can protect their families, they can leave a legacy, and that they can actually know what they're doing with their money. The reason why people get so flustered a lot of times is they think that rich people are just superiorly smarter than them. And it's just not true. Usually they have the right information. And since they have the right information, they can make the right moves, and then they can afford more things because they're living off of interest while you're living off of labor. So I'll say it again. The wealthy usually live off interest, and the poor usually live off what? Labor. We try to labor more to try to make more money, but we want to just give more information to people to make sure that they can do it. Doesn't mean that you're going to make more money or that you're going to become rich overnight or any of that stuff, but it does mean at least your children have an opportunity. At least you can leave a legacy, and that if you pass away, that your family is protected. Notice that I keep saying the word protection. And the reason why I say the word protection so many times is because me over the last 11 years have delivered over 98 death claims. And many times when I deliver those death claims, that family is now protected because they can keep moving forward. But if that plan wasn't there, I'll try it this way. I have 6,000 clients in my book of business right now. 6,000 that I have just as personal clients myself. And out of those 6,000 clients that I have, how many of them do you think are going to pass away? Me included. So if 6,000 of them I have, at least that 6,000 is protected, okay? Now, let me ask you a question. How many in your house are protected? Because if it's not everybody, then you need to talk to these great people after today to make sure that what? That they are protected and that they have the right. Even if you have a baby, right? If you have small children, make sure, if you have grandchildren, just please do me a favor and make sure that they're protected. Make sure that they have the right things in place, that if something happens to you, that the family still moves forward. That make sense? Say yes? All right, great. Give me the next slide. All right, we're moving right along. 1 Corinthians 16:2 says that on the first day of the week, if we prosper when we what? When we lay aside. Okay, here's the question. How do you prosper if you have nothing to lay aside? It suggests the fact that we have to understand that at some point we got to have something to lay aside so that way we can prosper and that something can grow for us, that we planted something so that it can grow. When I go around the country and talk to churches, I always have a lot of fun with pastors because I love pastors. But I was with a big old church not too long ago. Pastor said, man, well, you know, he said, Reuben, this sounds great for my church, man. But what you're suggesting, the fact, is that we basically use biblical principles to help our people become smarter with money. I said, yes. Right? I said, okay, let me give you this one for free. We preach the 10% tithe. He says, yes. I said, I preach it too, out of Malachi. We preach the 10% tithe. But then we take the money in and we run and go to a 1% bank account. Watch this. How can I take in the 10 and use a 1? It suggests that there's 9% missing in the middle. So if anything ever changes inside of the size of the church or the giving in the church, or if anything happens, what happens to the church? But what if we were using a 10? 10 for 10, 10 by 10. We were taking in 10 and we were getting 10, then what would happen then? Yeah. Sister Johnson says she's not coming back no more. You might not get nervous. Just playing. All right. But ultimately, you want to make sure that you have things in place. Give me the next slide, please. All right. So there's 3 major events that usually help hurt people inside of our churches and just overall in general. The first one is called sickness. Everybody say sickness. So there's a thing called living benefits where you want to make sure that you got your sicknesses covered. Living benefits suggest to us that if I get sick, I have a life insurance policy that has a death benefit. I can pull the money out of that while I'm sick, still pay my mortgage, still pay my bills, still pay for my house, still pay for the things. During COVID, me and my wife, my lovely wife, we had to help 2,000 of our clients who actually got COVID real bad. And basically, they thought they were going to lose everything. But because they had living benefits with us, we were able to get them $7,000 to $10,000 a month. Some of them getting more money than they were getting on their job, just because they had living benefits. The doctor turns in a note. They can activate that. It's all determined by the companies. But think about this. What is the number one killer of all finances? It is what? Sickness. When somebody gets sick, the finances start to go down. So we want to make sure you learn about sickness. The next one is death. I talked about that earlier. No, you can stay right there. Go back. Is death. Making sure that you have the right prepared things for death. So I want you guys to write this down if you have a pen, that your family should be able to move forward at least 10 to 15 years in the event that if you pass away. So if you have a house, like an asset, and you owe $600,000 on the house, you should at least have $600,000 of life insurance coverage. Because if you basically pass away, now that house gets paid off, and now that family moves what? Forward, right? Or if you have bills and notes and things that you need to cover, those things can be covered, right? I was working with the family about a year ago, and the head of the family, the husband, he actually took out $1.5 million of life insurance, and he basically was doing pretty well financially, and he basically was a pretty healthy guy. And we sat down, we had a lot of fun, we became friends. He went to work one day, went to the bathroom, boom, gone, passed away. Had a heart attack inside the bathroom, nobody in there to help him, and he passed away. Now, he had a lot of assets and things, but not all of them were paid for. So when his wife came to me, she says, I have no idea what we're going to do. I'm a housewife. We got the 3 little babies. Their smallest baby was only 2 years old. I have no idea what I'm going to do. He was the breadwinner. I said, I know what you're going to do. You're going to take this $1.5 million. You're going to pay off everything, and the rest, you're going to keep your house, you're going to keep your cars, you're going to keep your lifestyle, and we're going to figure the rest out. Do you guys see how that works? please make sure that you have your things covered. I'm not here to sell you anything, but I do want you to get educated about that. That costs them not that much money, what you're thinking. For them to have that policy in place costs them about maybe $700, $800 a month, something like that. Some of us can get $1 million policies right now for $100. Some of us can get certain plans in place that will cover where we have. But at least have something in place so that your family doesn't have to. I just lost 2 brothers in the last 4 months. 2 of my brothers have passed away. 2. One in December. Right? 1 in May. But the only reason why I'm up here and able to keep going and pressing so fast is because we had them what? Covered to make sure that their family's protected, to make sure that they can keep on going. Right? So that their kids, they have kids and everything else. Okay? So make sure that you have it. The last one is retirement. Everybody say retirement. Say it loud for me, retirement. Okay, so with retirement, there is some things that are we don't have the right things in place for retirement. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to move on. Give me the next slide, please. Okay, so there's a lot of people talk to me about this 3-legged stool. It's an old analogy, but they'll say, hey, Rev, I got some personal savings. I got some Social Security that will come in, and I got a company pension plan, right? So if I got a pension plan, I should be kind of protected. If I got Social Security, that should kick off a little bit, and I got some savings. Now, let's kind of go through this. If you have a company pension plan, that is great, because a lot of companies do not give out pension plans anymore. You're very lucky, because a lot of companies I worked at, no pension plans. Awesome. Only little problem that I ever seen with a pension plan is that you got to pay what? Taxes. You guys with me so far? So you're still getting taxed on that. Then if we come to Social Security, if you have any pre-tax accounts, like 401ks or 403bs, and you're pulling money out of those, Social Security doesn't like that. So the U.S. government comes along, and they say if you're pulling any money out of a 401k or a 403b and you're distributing to yourself, they count that as what? Income, and then they cut down your what? Social Security. Okay? So you got to make sure you understand that. And then when it comes to personal savings, a lot of times people have saved some money, but not enough to be able to live their life. I'm going to do a quick analogy with you guys because I like math a lot. I actually was an athlete who did like math. Just kidding. All right? But let's just do a little analogy. I'm going to do a little analogy really fast just so you can understand what I mean. Because a lot of people who I help, especially in the 401k and 403b realm, sometimes they haven't done their numbers. So they haven't done the math. So let's do a little example. So we have Bill, and Bill has actually worked a really great job. And Bill is basically paying for his household, and his bills are $10,000 a month. Okay? They're $10,000 a month, and that's basically what his household, his wife, kids, all that stuff, $10,000 a month. So Bill says to me, hey, Leland, I'm going to actually retire at 65, and I want to basically make sure that I have a $10,000 income per month. Okay, say, all right, great. So $10,000 a month is $120,000 a year. Now, if Bill has a 401k and Bill lives from 65 to 85. Let's just say the good Lord lets him live to 85 years old. This is 20 years that he would be retired. At $120,000 a year, Bill would need $2.4 million net cash to live his lifestyle. If he has a pre-tax account, you would have to tack on 30% above that in taxes, so he would need something about $3.7 million in pre-tax dollars to get to the $2.4 million that he needs. So how does Bill get to that money if the company is only telling him to save 4% out of his paycheck on his 401k? He never gets there. He's not even close. Because most companies tell us to save what? 4%, 5% of our money. They even do this thing called match. Everybody say match. The match is taxable. So when you get ready to pull the money out, they charge you what? Taxes. So that means that the match really wasn't a match. It means that the match was sort of a match. It gave you more, and that's awesome, but you still got to consider the taxes. And I know what you're thinking. Come on, Ruben. When I get older, my tax bracket's going to be lower. And that is true. There will be some things that they lower down. However, there's a little problem. When you turn 73, the government comes back again, and he says you got to pull this money out and pay what? Taxes. How do you win if you constantly have to pay taxes? You don't. That's why we have to get people educated. They need to know their numbers. They need to know what to put in place now. Doesn't mean it's going to work out perfect. Doesn't mean it, but you need to understand where you're at and how to use concepts, how to use products, and how to use the right things to help yourself. Give me the next slide, please. So if one leg breaks, then boom, the retirement is now struggling, and now the person is kind of struggling financially. Give me the next slide, please. So basically what we want to do is protect. Everybody say protect. We want to basically show you how you can get some more legs. So you might want to be able to use some index annuities or IULs or whatever it is that you need to pick. We provide all these different services, everything that you actually can imagine, but you have to have them in place so that it's working for you. Now, I don't want you to get stressed out or have anxiety. What I want you to do is just write down, right, the number that you need to live off of every single month. You're not going to tell it to me, but just write it down right now, what you need to live off of during retirement time. And you need to start working on that today. And say, hey, if I need to retire, I need about $5,000 to $7,000. You can go home and do your budgeting plan with your loved one, but you want to make sure you do that. Okay, give me the next slide, please. All right, so let's talk about the kids. Really fast, I'm going to go over this quickly, and I want you to understand this is something that we hold dear to our heart. We are sending our kids to college right now to get a whole lot of debt. So much debt that I have 22-year-olds walking in my offices right now with tears in their eyes, because they don't know what they signed. They don't know how they're going to pay it back. And they're getting threatening letters all the time. I just spoke with Pastor Antoine. I'm designing a call center business to help my kids that come out of college. Like, look, you go do whatever you want to do, but just come hang out with me, make these calls every day, and I'll get some money in your pocket for now, and then we'll try to figure it out. Because there's just an epidemic where we're celebrating at the high school graduation, not even knowing that we're sending them to their demise. How can an 18-year-old know what a credit card? Anyway, all right. But ultimately, the loan is too much. I spoke at Grambling University, and then I had a chance to speak at some other schools, and the presidents asked me, what do I think? What was my opinion about the fact of their graduating class? I said, my opinion, it's a 911 emergency. They need a job yesterday because the bank is only going to give them 6 months, and they're going to start sending threatening letters to them saying, you got to pay $2,000 a month, or else your whole life is ruined. So we teach this strategy on how to basically make sure that kids can actually go to school without accruing so much debt. My two boys that are in school, that are getting out of school, have absolutely no debt. My one son is actually 20 years old. He's going to school, got into business with me. He's so sneaky, he's making 6 figures already. Caught him the other day with his bank account. Like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I just save it all, Dad. I live here with you, go to school online. I don't have much debt, right? So ultimately, we're teaching the kids and the parents to not keep sending their kids to get so much debt. They have to save in different type of products and services to make sure that you have that. Not perfect. Maybe you got half of it covered. Maybe you got 70% of it covered. But don't let them go get $150,000 worth of debt and then think that by some miracle they're going to find a job that's going to basically get them out of debt. It's not going to happen. Okay, next slide. All right, so Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Yep. Say it again, to his what? Children's children. So we don't want them leaving debt. We want to follow the principle that says we're supposed to be leaving a legacy for them. Okay? So I challenge you, look at those legacy plans that you might have in place. If not, find out how to get them going so you can be able to help the children. Next one. All right. Cool. So here's a quick picture that you guys probably can't see because it's a little bit small, but I'm just going to give you a couple stats. Right now in America, everybody that's from the age of 60 to 69 years old only has $180,000 in their retirement plan. That's the state of our country. Where are they going? Back to work. Where are they going to work at? Target, Walmart. Epidemic. 40% of all divorces happen because of financial stress. So we need to make sure that we work on that, y'all. 60% of Americans are all going to get diagnosed with some type of sickness that's going to affect them. All right? And they need to have those coverages in place. How about this one on the left side at the bottom? It says that 63% of all Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 63%. Where I grew up at, it's like 80%. Everybody's living paycheck to paycheck. right? Or the unmet need of insurance is $15.3 trillion in America, which means that the industry I work in, financial industry, we have every single type of product you could think of. That means that it's a $1 trillion industry that I work in, and it is only up 1% in the last 12 years, which means that the people who didn't have nothing in place 12 years ago, today, still didn't make a decision. Let 12 years go by. Now, I know what you're thinking. Man, I got mine together. Great. Make sure your family has it together. Make sure your cousin has it together. Make sure that everybody knows that you got to have things in place to be able to do this. Okay? All right, give me the next slide, please. All right. So wrapping up here, our debt right now in America is $34 trillion. So we basically have a $34 trillion now, and now it's about 36. Click for me. If we were basically to save $1,000 a second, it would take us 1,088 years to get rid of our debt in America. 1,088 years. So the debt we have in America is very big. Make sure you get into some of these debt plans that can actually help you not accrue so much debt. Debt, they say there's a such thing as good debt. That is for people who are very educated about their money. There is a such thing as that. I would never say there's not. For us that are not educated, my advice is don't jump in the debt game. You get credit card, what'd you get? Debt. Buy a car, you get what? All right, you basically get a loan, you got what? Debt. Okay, so if you basically got debt, what do they charge on all that debt? They charge a thing called interest. All right, watch this, guys. Let me work over here a little bit. Who's giving you interest on your money right now? Nobody. Okay, who's giving you interest on your money? Nobody. So if nobody's giving you interest, that means that you are just paying interest. You never receive it. So if you never receive interest and inflation is 7%, how do you outpace inflation? I'm going to show you. All right. I'll show you. Go to the next one. All right. So we basically want to talk about these 3 rules of money. Click again for me. The first thing you got to do is you got to learn how to receive interest. Everybody say interest rates. You got to learn how to receive interest. Rule of 72 says compounding interest. If you use a bank account, you're only using 1%. You're not getting any interest in the bank. If you're using a 401k and a 403b, God bless you. They've tricked you. You're getting about 4%. Inflation is 7%. 6%, it would take you about 12 years to double your money. But if you were receiving 12% or higher, your money will double every 6 years, and it can compound. There are products and services that are out there without the stock market that you can compound around that interest rate just for saving your money. Not going to say it's perfect. Not going to say everything is 100% guaranteed. What I'm going to tell you is that if you become educated, guys like me are getting 11, 12, 15, 20%, and we're just saving our money. We're not playing the stock market. We're just putting our money in the right place, and that money is growing for us. That's it. That's all. So once again, you got to learn how to receive interest. Keep in mind, inflation rate, about 6 to 7%, that's eating your money up. Some people try to make more money through a thing called overtime. I'm working with a group of nurses right now. They're flying me out to Maryland to meet with 100 nurses next week. Boy, I'm getting tired. Yeah, Maryland. But anyway, right? We're going out to Maryland to meet with these nurses, and they are actually utilizing working 80 hours a week as a form of trying to make more money, and they're paying their taxes are almost at 50%. They pay 50% taxes. You know how I got invited to speak to them? I worked with about 6 of them, and when we sat down, I said, "Do you understand that you're giving all your money back to Uncle Sam? Like you and the IRS are family members now. You guys have a relationship." All right? So we got to get educated to be able to do that. Okay, give me the next slide. The next slide is that you want to look at the concepts, right? You want to look at fixed account, variable account, and index strategies. So we want you to understand how money grows. You have to learn how does money grow. If it's growing fixed, you're not getting much. If it's growing variable, you need to make sure you understand how to utilize that. I'm not the person that's going to tell you that one shoe fits all. Some people do well in variable accounts, but if you don't have a trading account, I'm going to say it this way. This will help you, okay? If you have your retirement inside of a variable account, but you don't own a variable account yourself, you're in trouble. You must learn how they work, because if your whole retirement is inside of a company-owned variable account and you don't have one, then it suggests the fact that they are playing with your money and you don't know the rules of the game. Does that make sense, guys? So please just make sure, because a lot of people come up to me and they stick their chest out and they go, I got this plan from my company. And I'm like, well, how does it work? And they go, I don't know. Well, who sets the price? And they go, I don't know. Well, how much are you going to have when you get old? I don't know. I don't know is not a financial strategy. Okay? So guys, do me a favor. Remember I said this. I'm not going to get in trouble for this, I promise. Okay? They don't love you enough to take care of you at the time when you need it. What they are suggesting, that you know what you're doing and that you're letting it ride in the hopes that it works out. Hope is a church strategy. It is not a business strategy. So you have to actually understand and know exactly how it works to make sure that you know exactly how much money you have when you get to that time. Is that okay? You guys got that? So do your numbers and make sure that you understand that. Give me the next slide, please. All right, great. And then you want to know how money gets taxed. Everybody say taxes. You don't want to say that one louder, huh? Taxes. So make sure you understand how your taxes work. Tax now, tax later, or have a tax advantage. You want to have tax advantages. So tax now is like CDs. Tax later just means that you have not paid taxes. I want to work with this a little bit, and I promise I'm going to get you out of here. Tax later suggests the fact you have not paid taxes on your money yet. So here's a trick question for you guys, okay? Would you rather pay taxes on $500 or pay taxes on $500,000? 500, which one? Okay, 500. So if you do a tax later account, it means that you are growing your money to when it gets bigger, and then you're going to give away more of it. But if you pay your taxes up front, it suggests the fact that now you've paid Uncle Sam, and then there are ways for you to get your money distributed to you tax-free. Tax-free does not mean that you did not pay taxes. What it suggests the fact is that you've already paid your taxes, and now your distributions are what? Tax-free. So would you rather have tax-free money or taxable money when you get older? Say it louder. Then you want to make sure you learn about that, because your banks use that. Right? Corporations use that. Wealthy people use that. They understand the concepts of this, and they actually utilize it for their advantages. Okay? All right, give me the next one. Okay? Great, great, great. All right, so some of you guys are looking at me here today. I know that you might have a little doubt in your mind. You might say, Leland, it sounds good. I heard it all before. So for us that are doubting here today, I want to take you on a little journey really fast, and we're only going to go up to a certain year, and then next time I'll bring you the next new numbers, okay? But let's do a little journey here. Click on this for me, please, all right? So if you're doubting, were you around when the market tanked down in the year 2000? Click again. Well, what about when it dropped in 2001, 2002? What about 2008 when the market just dropped out, right? Watch this. This is why I get so passionate, guys. The reason why I get so passionate because I read a lot, and did you know that 91% of all the people who lost their money in 2008 put it all back in the same place? There's a guy I know, he preached a sermon. It was called, It's Gonna Rain. It's gonna rain. Nobody believed him. And he just kept preaching it, right? It's gonna rain. It's gonna rain. Nobody believed him. And then when it got time for it to rain, they all said, hey, man, it's raining. He said, I already told you I'm on the boat. I'm out. Well, right now, what's about to happen is, again, it's about to what? Rain. It's about to rain. It's about to rain. Make sure you got your finances in order. Click again for me. So click again. In this example, the same guy who actually had started in 2000, he had saved the same amount of money. In his 401k, he started out with $200,000. And after 20 years, from $200,000, all he ended up with was $348,000. Started out with $200,000. 20 years have gone by. He has almost no growth. Same guy on the other side started out with $200,000, and after 20 years, he has what? $2 million. Which person's in a better position? So you have which one? The $2 million guy, right? You guys catch that over here? The guy who has $2 million is in a better position, right? Who would like to have $2 million at retirement time? Right? Okay. All right. That might come in handy. Who would like to have $348,000 at retirement time? No hands are going up. All right? So we want to make sure that we understand how to get there. We show you a roadmap on how to take a look at your finances so that you can end up in the right position. Doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter where you're at. We try to help you the best we can and give you those game plans. And guess what? We give you this business plan for free. It doesn't cost you anything. Everybody say free again. Free. It's free, y'all. Yep. All right. 1 Timothy 5:1 says, anyone who does not provide for their relatives, not even for their own household, has denied the faith and worse than an unbeliever. So we want to take care of our families. We want to make sure that we have the right things in place. Okay, give me the next slide, please. Okay, real quick here, guys. Our client service menus for everybody. When you partner with us to sit down and become one of our trusted clients, all we want to do is educate you, find out what you need. Maybe you need final expense. Maybe you got a business. Maybe you need some mortgage protection for your home, or you need living benefits to protect your house. Maybe you need infinite banking like the Rockefellers. Maybe you need to learn about your taxes. Maybe you just need some debt management, and you need to understand how to manage your debt. We do all of those things and help you out. So you got to jump in and be a part of your finances. Don't just jump in and be like, this is what the guy told me. He came by the house. I work with that man. He came by. I said, well, did he give you any books? Did he give you any information? Did he show you anything that basically can kind of teach you how you can walk yourself through situations? No, Reverend, he just came by. He smelled good, too. Had a suit on. That man beat me, huh? Did he hand you any books? Did he hand you any information? Did he tell you that there's 36 books written on all the stuff that you need to learn? No, that ain't what happened. What he said, I was going to get a return on my money, and then that didn't happen. See, that's why I don't trust these people. I said, no, trust yourself. You guys with me? Learn how to trust you. That's what I'm here to spread the message. I got a financial planner. Yeah, I had all those licenses too. You know what we're taught when we got all those licenses? How to get you to give us more. I had a 6, a 66, a 7, a 26. I had a sharp suit. I had a business card that had a beautiful face on it. I had all that. And when you lost your money, you know what I said? I need you to give me more. That's the only way you're going to win. So understand, you got to be part of your financial planning. Okay? You don't have to know it all. You just got to know some of it. You got to be involved with it. You got to pay attention. The services that we provide, we put it on your computer. We manage with you, not just for you. So we're in there with you at all times so that you can call us at any time and say, hey, I'm here and I got this amount. I need to get to here. What would you suggest that I do? Okay? The 95%, I'm almost done, guys. The 95% of the people that are in the country right now are struggling, stressing, and straining from a lack of knowledge. Inside of our churches, 82% of the people, I've went to over 200 churches already, 82% of the people who I have went to in the churches have no clue what I'm talking about. 82% of them. We take a poll. We keep a running list. Final expense to bury our dead. Living benefits to make sure that if we get sick, we don't become a burden to our family. IULs to make sure we got tax-free distributions. Annuitizing or Roth index plans to make sure that you have distributions to make sure you take care of your family. Executive bonus plans to make sure if you're a business owner that you can get a 15% tax reduction and you understand what to do with your money. IULs for kids, we call it $1 million baby, to make sure that your baby is taken care of and your grandkids is taken care of. It does you no good to keep having them if they basically can't never have no legacy. I know it's tight, but it's right. Ultimately, we want to make sure you jump into these plans and understand how to educate your people. Every church I go to, we plant people at the church so that they can learn this, and we do stewardship conferences. I'm only one person. We got a lot of work to do. And so I go around the country planting people, saying, hey, you want to help your church out? Maybe you could be over here at the 210 church. My 210 people, everybody that's here that's on my team, stand up. Well, I guess I did a good job here already, all right? Let's give these guys a round of applause, all right? All right? Give me the last slide, please, and I'm going to turn it back over to you, Pastor. So give me one more slide. Okay, Deuteronomy 8:18 says you're going to remember the Lord your God. It's for him that has given you the power to make wealth. He gave you the power. Everybody say power. He gave you the power. You got the power to make your wealth. So if you got the power to do it, Let's start exercising it. Let's start doing it. Let's take better care of our families. Let's make sure we get the right information. Do me a favor. If you came as a guest here today, just fill out the information. We promise you we're not going to try to sell you nothing. We want to make sure that you're educated. If it ain't broke, we ain't going to try to fix it. But if there are things that are there that you still need help with, if there are things that are unclear, that are still not in place, if there are things that are left with uncertainty, please make sure you get that information, and these guys will be able to help you. God bless you guys. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
Amen, amen. Come on, give it up for Pastor Leland. Stay up here with me. Stay up here with me. Don't go too far.
Okay.
So a couple of things. You should have two pieces of paper in your hand. You have one that says feedback form. Please fill that out. As he mentioned, all the numbers, I don't remember all of them. I don't know how he remembers all those numbers. But there's a lot of people who believe they have the right plan, the right thing in place. You may not have the correct one. So even if you believe you do, it will not hurt you to sit down with someone to have a free, somebody say free, a free look at what you have. Like he said, we're not here to sell anything to you. We genuinely want to educate you. So it should not hurt you to put your name down, phone number, email. We want to be able to schedule some time with you just to take a quick look. Like he said, if it ain't broke, we're not going to try to fix it. Amen? Secondly, you have in your hand, it said exploring tax-free retirement options. This is the data. You can check, verify all of this, compare the tax-free option with the taxable option. We want to make sure to have this in your hand so we're just not spitting facts at you. You can go check all of this stuff. It's all right here. Amen? Now, there are many of you here. Some of you are pastors. The pastors that are here, God bless you. Matter of fact, let's give it up to our pastors that are here. We do a lot with pastors because a lot of pastors do not have a retirement plan in place. And so we want to be able to sit with you, sit with your congregation. God bless you, Pastor Ivory, for being here as well. Pastor, is it Ward? Upshaw, God bless you as well. Bishop Lauren and your brother, God bless you. You know, the pastor that I missed that is here, Pastor Canetta, good to see you as well. Cometta, forgive me. We want to be able to sit with you individually, kind of talk about what you have going on personally to make sure that you're set up as well, because we want to take care of those who carry the gospel of Jesus Christ. You are doing the phenomenal work, and you should be able to have a good retirement in place as well. Amen? Now, say again? Amen. Okay. I thought I heard somebody in the back. So we have a lot of people in here from different industries as well. I got some of my real estate investors. These principles still apply to you as well. If you have questions, we can sit with you. But I'll give you an opportunity to ask questions if you have questions about the information that you heard. Now, we won't be able to go into detail. If there's some detailed stuff that you want to ask, the best option will be to sit with you to get a better look, because we just don't want to give you a blanket answer that really might not apply. But I know we gave you a lot of information. Leland did today. Does anyone in here have a question that you want to ask? Praise the Lord. We'll have a mic coming. He has a microphone, so make sure everybody hears you. Yeah. Is it on?
But there are some acronyms that are here that we don't even know what those mean. IUL. What does that mean? What is that? And then number two, I am an author. I would like to have your book. After reading it, I would like to refer it and pass it along. So we all know, or we know that knowledge is power. So we need to be knowledgeable so we can be powerful. So please, if you can put that on the screen, we love it.
Is your mic on? Is there? Y'all can hear him?
Yeah. So I'll send you where you can get the book, and then also I'll talk to you after and give you electronic copies so you can pass to your friends. Okay? The book is all written about how we've been super successful in getting in the churches and teaching you how to become somebody who can help the churches. We learned a lot of things about going into churches, and I'll give you just a couple examples. We learned how to solve, not sell. All right? We learned how to interview the church board. I don't go to churches and say, here I am. I interview your church board. Do you really want to help your people? Do you want to help your parishioners before I get up there? Things like that. And even the follow-up, the scripts that we use to basically help the alignment, the 5 F's that we use inside of the church as well. So we have the whole book that's written as a guide on how to start stewardship conferences and stewardship seminars in your church so that they can basically learn exactly how to do that. Then we come do them for you for free, once again, right? So that way, once we do one for you, then I can leave and I can be confident that you got this so that work can continue. So I'll definitely make sure you get that. And then what IUL, IUL stands for Index Universal Life. It's a life insurance product that is attached to an indexing indice that outpaces the stock market. So it's a life insurance product that works like you can basically get high interest rates inside of it. And what ends up happening is it doesn't go into the stock market. So you remember this thing called whole life? So whole life was first because that was for your what? Whole life. And then they wanted to start universal life. And so universal life was second, and universal life gave you a certain interest rate. Then they came out with a thing called an index universal life that gave you an opportunity to be able to scale your money faster because it only gives you the upside of the market, never the downside. So when the market goes up, your money goes what? Up. When the market goes down, your money locks, and you get to keep it. Now, the only thing that's not taxable in America is what? Who could tell me? And life, oh, look at Bishop. All right. So banks use all your money where? Life insurance. That's in this book right here. So, and all the information that we give you, your bank is using an IUL. That's where they put your money at. The difference is that the bank uses your money in an IUL, but they get 12 to 15%, and you get absolutely nothing. So we basically give out IULs and we give out executive bonus plans. It's the same thing. It's an IUL for a business. Yeah. So learn about IULs. Sit down with us for 10 minutes. We'll give you all the information on it. Educate on it. You'll always know. Anybody ever heard of this chicken called Foster Farms? IUL. Anybody ever learned of this place called McDonald's? IUL. Anybody ever heard of this place called Disneyland? Built with an IUL. Everything around you, these corporations are using what? IULs, because they don't want to pay taxes on the growth and the distribution of their money. They pay their taxes up front, and then basically they never have to pay taxes again. So that's the game. The government allowed that in 1913. So this strategy has been around since what? 1913. 3 rich guys in America. One guy's name was Rockefeller. Y'all know him? The other guy's name was Dale Carnegie, and the other guy's name was J.P. Morgan, better known today as what? J.P. Morgan Chase. And these were the 3 richest men in America, but they were paying 60% taxes in 1913. They were multi-millionaires, almost billionaires by comparison of today. But they went to Congress, and Congress passed a law that you could use these insurance concepts and not have to pay taxes on the gains of your money. Which means that the Rockefeller family, I just visited with Eric Olson. He bought a house next to the Rockefellers. Do you know that the Rockefellers are still worth $58 billion today after 100 years later? Because they put a lot of their money into what? Into IULs, into insurance products.
The book, hold that book up again. Mm-hmm. If you make sure that you have your email address on your feedback form, we'll send this book to you for free.
Yeah.
It's a 66 PDF page book. It's a very simple read. It'll give you more information, and it'll use some of the examples that people have actually put this in place. So in your feedback form, if you make sure you have your email address on there, please make it legible. Please. So we can read it, and so we can send you. But we will send you this book.
And we can send it to you today.
Yeah, today.
We'll send you, if everybody puts their email out, we'll send you this today. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yes and yes? All right, cool.
Great questions.
I heard you speak about you were doing, what is it? I'm losing my train of thought, but okay. You spoke about helping people if you were going to do a call center. Mm-hmm. Because I have a daughter who has a master's degree who worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers, but they let her go, and she's really down.
Yeah.
She does, and I don't know about this finance stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking for, and you said it would be able to help the call center that you're starting.
Yeah.
So, and so with this non-disclosure and all this stuff, so I am looking for help, but also I helped her with this finance stuff. So that's what I was interested in.
So talk to Pastor. You talk to Pastor after, and they can get you all the information for that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Rod? And the food is here. I don't know if you smell it. The food is here.
They
It's
don't
gonna be right
leave.
in
That's the
back.
best
Yeah,
part,
don't
right?
leave, please, because I don't want to take any of the food home, y'all. Please, so make sure y'all get some of that.
You said, oh dang, that's loud. You said J.P. Morgan and Rockefeller, and who else went to Congress?
Dale Carnegie. Yeah.
And you said they went to Congress to say that again. Just
They were complaining about their taxes. Their taxes were almost 60% back then.
so basically, they went to Congress and said, "Hey, we paying too much on taxes. Is there a way to get around this?"
Is there a way that we basically can enforce some rules that don't charge us? Because they were the men who built America. So one was the steel tycoon, one was the oil guy, the other guy was the finance guy. So go on YouTube and look up this movie. It's called The Men Who Built America. And if you look that up, it'll basically explain to you all how they went about and did that.
How they went about and did
Yeah,
that? Yeah, because I
how they
always
got it
heard
done.
about them, but I didn't know they went to Congress and
Yeah.
like basically started the whole life insurance thing. That's crazy.
Yeah, they started the whole push movement on not having to pay taxes on the gains of your money and basically being able to do it differently.
Word. Thanks, Leland.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Anybody else? Any other questions? I feel like some of you got some questions. You're just kind of afraid to ask it. No question is a dumb question. You got one in the back? Yeah.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
everybody get those documents? Everybody get a form, a feedback form, and the other handout? Man.
Cool.
Yes, right here.
Yeah.
I knew somebody else had a question.
Yeah, we love the questions, so let's get to the questions and get to the food for you.
So you were talking about, sending your kids off to college without debt.
Yeah.
And I know that for specifically for our people, sometimes when our kids go to college, we sometimes want them, it's almost like we think it's a rite of passage for our kids to struggle.
Yeah.
Like we did, and to, work 2 and 3 jobs and still trying to study and still trying to be active in sports. So like when my son went to college and we, sent him a little something every month, people were like, well, why would you do that? I mean, he needs to learn how to do all this stuff. And I agree that kids need to be able to, they need to be able to learn how to take care of themselves, but in a time where they're transitioning from high school to college is such a huge difference.
Yeah.
So when you're talking to people, because, I work for the state and we have that 12% retirement. And so when I'm talking to my coworkers about this moving forward, how do you, when you go to places, dispel that thought process that our kids need to struggle? That, well, why would I pay for all of their college or half of their college when, nobody paid for mine or I have debt? Not looking at there are other cultures and other people that set their kids up so that they can go to school and not have debt. So when you're talking to our people and other cultures that sort of think like that sometimes, how do you dispel that?
So to be very honest with you, when I run into that, I use real life cases of what really happens. I'll be very honest with you. Most people who are still thinking the old way have never looked at what's really happening. And so when you look at these kids who are really struggling, stressing, and straining, and they don't have anything in place, and they have them out there trying to work jobs, they don't even know they're on the hamster wheel for the next 30 to 50 years. So if you really love your child, you gotta look to the future, not the present. And so and I'll say this, most people who have a little bit more, I'll call it narrow thinking, they basically only kind of look at it from that perspective, but they've never seen the realities, or they're just not looking at the realities. Because I came from that too. When people saw what I did with my son and what they see I do with my kids, they're like, yeah, you're raised differently. I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. My dad was old school and taught me differently that I owed my past, that I needed to be successful because I didn't get bit by no dogs. I've never been to a segregated water fountain. I've never gone through any of those things. So he actually taught me different that, hey, son, you owe the past. You need to be successful and be an example. So I really show the realities of what's happening because most people don't look at those numbers. And when I speak to the groups, I show the numbers and then I show the kids the shape they're in now. Because I have the kids, I do a lot of marketing and we take pictures of all this stuff and I bring them stats because facts tell, but stories sell. And so understanding that the real story, we're always looking through that lens of if I got mine and I'm doing well or I came from that perspective, like I'll give you this one for free too. How many of you guys have ever heard this that I own a home, right? Raise your hand if you say, I own a home. Well, if you don't owe 60% of the loan, you don't own the home. You own the loan. You don't own the home. So I was taught to go get property when I was young, and I owned a whole lot of what? Loans. I didn't own any homes. I was walking around telling my friends, yeah, man, you know, I got 2 houses. You know, I'm doing it right. And then one day somebody sat me down and was like, do you understand that if you miss a few payments, that it's over? And I began to say, what do you mean? And so when the pipes broke in one of them, and all the water came into the house, then I really learned that I owned a loan. All right? So understanding those little concepts to answer your question of being able to show the real life stuff, that's how I overcome it. Even when I do companies where people have a good job and they say, hey, we have a matching plan or we have other things, I just show the real use cases of their retirement people. Did you know, and I'll get you back to your next one, did you know that most people who work a job never talk to anybody who retired from the job? So they don't know the reality of what you're going to get. They just say, man, I was at her retirement party, but talk to her a year after, 2 years after. Then you will find out the realities of how the pension plan is really reducing. And that's when I really started opening up my eyes, because I was a city worker for the city and county of San Francisco. I was there for 7 years. And every year I was there, we'd have a retirement party. And the next year I'd see the same person right back at work. And I'd be like, hey, what's up, Twan? What's going on? Yeah, man, you know, I'm back up here. Didn't you just retire? Yeah, man, you know, it's rough out there, right? I couldn't pay my bills. I couldn't keep my lifestyle. I was like, wow. So I think if we do that.
Can you talk a little bit about that? I was just about to ask you that, because you didn't hit that. How many people are close to retirement or know someone that's close to retirement? Anybody have a retirement account? Because this last couple of months, I've been really speaking to families about that and helping them do what we call as rollovers.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit about those that have money in their retirement accounts, 401ks, whatnot? Yeah. Those that maybe even are retired that are pulling income
from those,
and how we can support and help them.
Yeah. So you can have a fixed index annuity, is known as a traditional IRA. A traditional IRA works to give you interest rates every single year when you roll your money out of the stock market. So let's say, for example, if you have an old 401k and you used to work at a job, you're only getting 4%. Well, these fixed index annuities from all those companies I show you average 11 to 20%. Average. Now, how do they do that? So I'm going to tell you guys how, because I want everybody to be educated. Every single year at the Chicago trading floor, all the index companies sell their indexes to insurance companies, because insurance companies have the most powerful distribution. So they have the most distribution power. They're selling 30,000 units per day, 40,000 units per day, 50,000 units today. So they'll give a higher interest rate when you roll your money over and you get your money into an insurance product like a traditional IRA or an IUL, and they'll give a higher return on that because they're making billions of dollars off your money. So instead of you putting your money into a bank where you get no return, you get a partnership contract with an insurance carrier that gives you what? Major returns. Now, which one do you need? A major return or a small return? So you need a major. So if you want to get a major return, you have to go to where they have a thing called a look back. Every single company I work with, by the SEC law, has to show you how it's performed the last 20 years. So you get to sit down with a scope and go, this is how it performed over the last 20 years. This is what it's averaged. And now you can make a decision based on if that would do you well. But let me give you this one for free. If you've only been using a 1% bank account, anything could do better. If you've only been using a 401k, anything is better. I mean, just anything is better. I mean, you're at the bottom of the totem pole. You're getting 4% return. If somebody gives you 8%, hallelujah, they give you 7%, it's like whoop-de-doo, right? So, but if you have to understand how it works. So I want you guys to write this down, and then I'll pass it back to you, Pastor. You want to make sure that you get insurance on your money. You guys got that? You want to make sure that your money is insured. Now watch this, and I'll pass it back to him. They make us pay car insurance, home insurance, cell phone insurance, even if you got a dog, like Pastor Antoine, right? You need to have insurance on the dog, right? So if you got insurance on now those things, how come you don't have insurance on your money? It will suggest the fact that you need some type of insurance, and the insurance is for you to get a higher interest rate. You're insuring yourself that you get a higher interest rate. That's all you're doing. So you're making sure that you have a contract on your money that says, I at least get a return of this. Make sense? Now, if you didn't get a return and the stock market dropped and everybody in America started hollering about the market drop, you would lose absolutely nothing because you insured the bottom. Does that make sense, guys? So you insured and protected your money to make sure you don't lose anything. But anytime that you have a chance to gain, you would gain. So just make sure that you ensure the number one thing that you need to trade with is your, what is it? That's what we trade with. So make sure that's insured. Yes.
Over your 401k into a fixed index annuity.
Yeah.
And that fixed index annuity is the insurance on
It's
that
an
phone?
insurance contract. Essentially, it's a contract. Yeah, that the company gives you a contract to say that if you roll your money over, that you'll get these interest rates, and this is how it's performed over the last 20 years. So you're able to look at how the growth of your money will be instead of having your money just go up and down with the stock market, right?
Which happens in a 401k.
Which happens in a 401k. You can't be working presently at your job, and we'll talk to you separately. You can't still be employed by your employer and roll your money over. You have to have, it has to be an older one. However, $84 trillion are exchanging hands in the next 5 years from everybody who has the wrong account.
So there's
84 trillion.
So that means that you said if I'm still working, I can't do anything with my
No,
401k.
right. You can't do anything because you have a
If you're over
contract.
59 and a half.
If you're over 59 and a half, you can ask them. Yeah, because everybody's going to be different. But most of them are locking their stuff up now like this, basically saying until you retire, you can't do it.
So would it make sense if for instance, because that is money that I would have in my 401k,
Yeah.
and I am able to pull from it, does
Yeah.
it make sense to pull from it and
No.
then
No.
because I will be-
Yeah,
so
you'll be
how much
taxed.
what
Yeah.
money am I going to be able? Is the money?
Oh, this is a very good
check?
question.
What money?
Yeah.
Can I put in there? Where am I going to
Okay.
get money from to put it in?
All right. You ready for me to answer?
Yeah.
Okay. You made a deal with these people that they have your money locked up, your job, right? I'm not going to say what they really are, but your job, right? Until you move away, you separate from them, and you no longer work for them, now you can invest the money. If you try to pull the money out now, Uncle Sam comes in because they made a deal that they get a 30% tax write-off on your money every year. So basically, the business gets a write-off for putting you in the wrong plan. That's how 401ks came about in 1981. The company wins, not you. Because when you get ready, if you were to pull your money out today, the Fed has to get paid, the state has to get paid, the brokerage has to get paid, the penalties have to get paid, and then you get paid. Does that make sense? So you have to wait until it's eligible,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, you have to call them and ask them. Some people make that mistake. Some companies will allow you to move after 59 and a half. I live in California. Most of them, the answer is no. You cannot move until you no longer work with us. But you should call HR and start asking questions and educating yourself on if you're eligible to move your money or when can you.
Yeah.
So I was working with a doctor the other day, and I always like to use real life examples, and I'll get you guys out of here.
Yeah.
I was working with a doctor the other day, 40 years as a doctor, right? He had a 401k, and he had $1.8 million aside the 401k. I was referred to him. I don't know him. I said, hey, doc, I'm Leland Rubin. It's nice to meet you. I do this all over the country every day. He said, wait, hold on. Before you try to do anything, I'm already great. I'm getting ready to retire. I don't want to look at nothing. I'm cool. I said, awesome. Did you guys know that 3.5 weeks ago, the market took a real big tank? He called me back, said, hey, I just lost $600,000 in my 401k, man. Now, watch how the story goes. I said, you lost $600,000? Well, something like 500 something thousand. Okay, awesome. We were able to roll his money over because he did retire. We rolled it over, and I gave him a 25% bonus, right, on almost $1.3 million, which means I gave him $600,000 back to get all his money back, just putting on a fixed index annuity. Because they had a bonus plan to put his money, and now he's a happy boy because his money's back to where it originally was, and now he's retired. So, and it's protected. If the market drops, he'll never lose another dime.
Yeah. We'll
Well,
talk.
we'll
We'll keep
talk to
talking.
you, yeah.
That's
He'll talk to you there.
I started talking to them the
Yep.
other day. Couple more questions, and then before we go, I'm gonna let you go for the food. Pastors, I want, if you're able, 5 minutes, if you could just come up. I want to make sure you guys have some time with Leland. And Brian, you and your wife, real estate investors, I want to make sure you guys have some time as well. But a couple more questions. Our team, if our team can stand up one more time. Team. Brother Michael, Brother Rod, Brother Elijah, who drove all the way over here from California. Praise the Lord. As you have your documents in your hand, make sure you give it to one of our team members so that we can make sure, number one, that you get your book, and then we can have somebody reach out to you and put some appointments on the book. But she has a question,
yes,
and I
ma'am.
think there was a question in the back. Oh, we need to do the gas card. I was just going to give it to you.
Okay, you said something about the life insurance about someone that's ill.
Say it one more time.
Yeah.
About the life insurance about someone that's ill.
Yes.
I've been trying and we've been denied
Okay. Send them to us.
for type 1 diabetes.
We can work with that. See how my face look?
Yes.
Because most people don't understand the power that we have to the technology and the companies. Now, we went to the insurance regulators and said, hey, by the way, we need help, right? Because everybody in our country is sick. And I'll say it again. Everybody in our country is what? Sick. So talk to Pastor Antoine. He's going to direct you in that place. There's companies out there that will take that. I can get what is that called, an A1C, almost at 11. 3 years ago, it was only like 6. So if somebody has an 11 or even almost a 12 A1C, which means they are walking on grace and mercy, right? They can basically still get coverage.
Yeah.
Okay?
Anybody else? Over here? Mr. Scott, right? Yeah. Sweetheart, if you can do me a favor, can make your way here so we can do the...
Come on up there and get the gas card.
Yeah. Another $50 gas card.
All right.
Hey,
$50 gas. I need to win that.
good morning. The question I have is, if you roll over funds into, I guess, the IUL, and are there dividends paid to the policyholder from that, or is that compounded and reinvested back into the policy?
All right, good. So you can never roll over into an IUL. IUL has to be cash. So, but rolling over into a fixed index annuity, you can do that.
Okay.
And if you roll over into that, the interest rates will cover your taxes. So anytime you roll over, I'll use a quick example. So a lot of guys, they roll over $100,000 from an old account. I'll give them a bonus of $20,000 because they get a 20% bonus, and then they're averaging 7 to 10% per year. So if you leave your money in there for, I don't know, 3 years or 4 years, you're looking at having almost $400,000 just on the compounding interest rates, right? So that's a lot of these plans that we have. We actually have a technology system that we ask you 10 questions because we want to know what you want to do. So that's, once again, we want to solve for you, not sell. So we'll ask you some questions. You answer those questions, and then we put your information into that system right in front of you. It's going to pick from the top 3 companies out of 500 companies, which would best work for you. And then you're going to get to see the whole 20-year look back on what best works for you. And then we start discussing what you want to do. What I do as a rule of thumb always is I want to know 3 things. Number 1, how important is the money to you? Number 2, how fast do you want to use it, right? And number 3, do you have an accountant to make sure that if you're pulling money out, that basically you got your taxes in order, all right? So now I always want to make sure that you have those questions, but we ask you 10 questions to make sure that you're completely understand what you're doing. Then before you become our client, guess what I do? I make sure that we send you a report to your email, and then you're going to go through that report, and we're going to go through it with you to make sure you understand how to use it. Make sense? Immediately.
Day of transfer.
Yeah, day of transfer. Yep, immediately. Yep. All right.
All right.
You guys got my
Do I have
hot
some
seat?
praying saints up in here? I know somebody said they need the $50 gas card. My wife is going to pull it out.
Everybody have a ticket?
Everybody in here have a ticket? You don't have a ticket?
Clyde doesn't have one.
Deacon Clyde needs a ticket.
Oh yeah, whose is it? Oh, is that my
Who
phone?
don't? Huh?
No, she got my phone in the back.
Marvin, y'all got a ticket? Y'all
She
don't have
got
a ticket?
it.
Just bring the tickets in. Abram, he's coming behind you. Now, if one of these three get it, it's rigged, I promise.
How important is the money to you? Yeah. Because we need to understand we need to keep it liquid or not. Because I'm going to always test the client to see.
They seem like they're sticking together.
Are you going to use this money next week? You got plans to fix the house? I need to know. all of that before we put it in the savings. Even
Shake,
though I'm
shake,
double
shake.
and triple the money, cash is
Shake,
still
shake, shake.
all right, so we want them to understand.
Shake them tickets.
Okay. No,
Everybody say shake, shake, shake.
take this off.
All right. You want to pull or you want me to pull? All right. We have, 498102. You got it over here. Amen, amen, amen. All right. Yes. Did it hurt my feelings to call 108? I felt it, but it wasn't on the ticket. All right, I'm gonna bless the food. Ashley and Kiera, can y'all do me a favor? Can y'all help the people in the back, Erica, with make sure they go with the food? Father, we just thank you for this time. We thank you for the information, the value that you've given us. We ask that you would just bless this food to bring nourishment to our bodies. We thank, we bless you. It's in your name, Jesus. We do pray. Amen. Quentin and Elijah, if y'all can stand at the door, make sure we get